Hi everyone, I'm Josh and welcome to Josh Wright Piano TV. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're all having a great holiday season. I have a request from Phil here, but I received almost an identical request from Marilyn, one of the members of our VIP Masterclass series, one of the two paid courses that I have online. So I told Marilyn, hey, I'm going to cover this on YouTube because I don't think we've ever covered this topic before. Today we're going to be going over 5 steps to successfully start a piece on stage or in front of an audience, even if you're just in your living room, wherever you might be. So I'm going to go ahead and read Phil's email, but I'm going to use an example that I know Marilyn is working on. So hopefully that sounds fair to both of you. Hey Josh, greetings from Australia. Love your videos. I have a request. Could you please do a video on how to start off playing a piece confidently once we've actually learned the piece? I often find that even when I go to play pieces that I know well, they often get off to a rocky start until I settle into the piece after a few bars. I find that I often tend to play the first few notes of a song in a hesitant or disjointed fashion. Are there some basic practices we can engage in to develop the habit of commencing pieces confidently? I'm a self-taught intermediate player with some bad habits. Thanks so much, Phil. All right, Phil and Marilyn, we are going to take a look at this scherzo in D minor that Marilyn is working on. So I'll play it slowly. Lots of broken chords. And when we play it quickly, how do we start that off confidently? And I just recently did an entire tutorial on this piece if you're looking for extra help on this Scherzo in D minor by Cornelius Gurlitt. Fun little piece, a lot of bang for your buck. It's not as hard of a piece to learn, but it sounds very impressive to audiences. Okay, how do we do this? Step number 1. First of all, you want to look at your setup, the bench height. So if I'm way too high, that's going to feel uncomfortable. Or if I'm way too low, I'm going to feel like maybe there's too much effort. I personally like a slightly higher bench because I have super long arms, and I like my arms to be kind of at a right angle to the keys. So the bottom of my wrist is pretty much the height of the tops of the white keys, approximately. And you're going to feel your own comfort level. Some people love a low bench. Some of the old pianists like Horowitz and Michelangelo, they liked a very low bench. I know Stanislav Udanich, an amazing pianist these days. I've performed in a little private concert with him. He actually brings his own bench around with him because he likes such a low bench. Obviously, Glenn Gould loved a low bench, but there's many other pianists that like a mid or higher bench. Just it depends on your physical anatomy and what you're comfortable with. I remember Sergei Babayan said he likes slightly lower. He's not super low, but he said it gives him back pain if he plays too high. So find what you are most comfortable with, because I can't tell you how many times I've gone into a performance and thought, oh, this bench is a little too low for my liking. And I end up feeling like I'm overexerting because I don't have the support from my upper body like I'm comfortable with sitting slightly higher like this. Make sure that your music desk, this is such a silly thing, but make sure it's in a comfortable position, and then obviously, lower it if you are not using music. I have it up because I'm reading these notes and looking at this score. But if you're not going to be using music, lower that music desk because that's going to allow you to hear what's going on inside of the piano a little bit easier. And then always make sure that you try the piano beforehand. So that all goes into preparation and setup. So that's step 1. Step number 2 is pre-performance meditation. And this happens before the performance and also right before you start on stage. So if you look at, competition recordings from the International Chopin competition, they're usually sitting there for a few seconds, up to maybe 10 or 15 seconds, and then they'll start. That's very helpful. So you can do your own pre-performance meditation. I remember one that Susan Duhlmeyer, my amazing piano teacher who I've studied with my entire life basically since I was 9 years old, and I'll still occasionally go play for her. She had a little meditation she liked to do where you think of a long staircase, and every 10 steps you go into a beautiful room that kind of melts away and you're in a beautiful landscape. that you enjoy going to, or a beautiful setting. Maybe it's indoors that you feel very at peace with. And then you go down to the next level. Each one you're feeling warm and at peace and comfortable. I thought that was a very helpful pre-performance meditation. But also don't discount walking on stage, taking a moment, focus on your breath for just a moment before you start, maybe a few long exhales. I even did a really short video many years ago. This was taught to me by my wife's nutritionist, who she went to see for some health issues. And I asked her, I said, I know you're into nutrition and how the body works in a very optimal way. Are there any ways to calm down nerves? And she said, yeah, breathe in for 2 seconds. 1, 2, inhale, and then breathe out for 8. Most people, when they start to get nervous, we're inhaling and we're not really breathing deeply into our diaphragm. This is great for singers, but it's also good for pianists. And that was very helpful. So breathe in 2, breathe out 8. Exhaling is very important when you're trying to calm the heart rate down. So before you walk on stage and on stage, just do that little pre-performance meditation. Step number 3, think of the tempo in a later stable section. So, for instance, one tip that I would give to Marilyn is to think of that middle section. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That will help tremendously. I remember in the 6th Paganini Etude, I remember I had some fluctuations between the tempo, between the main theme and then this. It's been many years since I played that, so forgive my sloppy playing. You can watch a video of it on YouTube, both a tutorial and a performance if you're interested. I've covered both of those. But Logan Skelton, my teacher at Michigan, would have me do this little exercise where I'd play this and then start this, or let's see, start that, or start this. And you can have small tempo fluctuations, but I was fluctuating it so much. He said, do that as an exercise. Play the first 2 bars of the piece and then go into tempo on those later sections and play the entire section and make sure that you are actually matching those tempi. I thought that was very helpful. So for Marilyn, in this scherzo, and it's a little bit of a subjective call because the composer does write tranquilo. So you might actually take that a little bit slower as an artistic decision. But if you're going to keep the same tempo throughout and you want the tempo to be here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. This piece it almost sounds strange because it almost feels like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, like that. But he writes it in 3/8. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. We can find a similar interesting thing in like the Chopin Etude Opus 25 number 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then he writes these quarter note triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1. It almost sounds like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 versus 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And the practicality of actually playing it like that is questionable because 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Going off on a tangent here. I apologize. But just little things come to mind as I record these videos. Just make sure that whatever tempo you want to start with, you may reference a more stable, calm section in the same tempo, obviously, if you're taking the same tempo. And think of that. So, bum, ba, dum, ba, da, dum. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's how I like to set a tempo before I start. So if I'm starting with something very difficult, for instance, I may want to think of a later point. So what if I'm playing like Chopin's Winter Wind Etude, and let's say that I struggled with this left hand part, because I know a lot of students. Okay, a lot of students struggle with that. You would start the piece based on that weakest part tempo. So if that's your full tempo, 1, 2, 3, 4, you don't want to then start like way too fast. You want to think dum bum ba bum bum. Very, very helpful tip for keeping it in control. I still do that to this day on pieces that I get especially nervous for. Step number 4 is shadow play the first few notes. So I noticed that Marilyn was doing something like this. She might start occasionally like, or, oh, oops, and not quite start the first measure or two with the correct notes. So you don't want to do this in a very drawn out way, but if you want to shadow play once, so just shadow play those, make sure you don't actually play, then it's like you've actually played it. So just touch, 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 without actually playing. And then, very helpful. Number 5, keep tension in the reins as if you're riding a horse. So you have the reins here. You're always going to keep a little bit of tension on the reins so far as tempo. If you are confident in your practicing at 120, then I want you to go 116. Metronome marking is what I'm saying. No one will hear a big difference between 116 and 120, but you will feel a lot more confident not going your absolute full tempo. So always just keeping a little bit of control, little extra control by holding back ever so slightly on the tempo. So if you're playing, Mendelssohn variations, I did a tutorial on this earlier this year. And that's a tough little part. And a little out of shape on it. Okay, that's probably my full tempo. Maybe I start. Okay, I'm more comfortable, even though I could do it. If I'm really in shape. I'm not in shape with that piece right now, so forgive those mistakes, please. But if I was really in shape, that feels comfortable, but I'm just going to go maybe a touch slower. And the difference between that and this is slight, and the audience isn't going to say, ooh, Josh sounds like he's 4 notches too slow on this. They're going to just accept it for what it is. And you'll hear recordings of that. I've heard recordings going super fast, and I've also heard going that, and it's an artistic decision. I know the pianist who I heard that tempo with could easily play it in the faster tempo. So it was an artistic decision. So don't get hung up on a particular tempo. Sometimes if one of your pianistic heroes plays it at 180 or whatever it might be, I have no idea what that tempo is, but let's say it's 180. You feel like a failure if you play it at 170, but the audience isn't going to notice much difference of you holding back slightly. Or if you're most comfortable at 170 in your practice, maybe you go 166 or 164. That will just give you a slight margin of error and keep you a little bit more accurate when you are performing. And then a little bonus tip. I don't know if I announced 5 or 6 tips at the beginning of this video, but tip number 6 would be an old concept that I talked about after my performance with Rachmaninoff Third Concerto. I love that piece so much. I played it back in 2018 with just a little local orchestra down in southern Utah. And I was very sad walking onto stage because I said, I don't know the next time I'm going to be playing this with orchestra. I better pretend like this is my last performance of this piece ever and just enjoy it, because it's so easy on stage. Like, I hope I don't screw this up. I wonder who's in the audience. Ooh, they make me kind of nervous, and have all this negative self-talk going on. Whereas really just honing in on what matters, making great music, expressing yourself through the music, telling a story, connecting with the audience members on a spiritual level through the music. That's what really matters. And so pretending like this is the last time you're going to play, like you're going to die tomorrow. It's kind of a morbid thought, like pretend like you're dying when you walk onto stage. A lot of students are like, wow, that's pretty intense way of thinking. But when you savor each chance you get to perform, I find that things go a lot better and you keep things in perspective and your priorities are straight. So a quick recap. Step number 1, set up your bench, music desk, try the piano out first. Number 2, pre-performance meditation, both before you walk on stage and on stage. Step 3, think of a tempo in a later, more stable section that matches the beginning tempo so that you don't start out too quick and then regret it and say, oh crap, I started too quickly and now I've got to backpedal or this next section is going to be sloppy. Number 4, shadow play a few notes if you have a particularly difficult opening that you have some inaccuracies with. Number 5, keep tension on the reins in regard to tempo. And then 6, pretend like this is your last performance of the piece and really enjoy your time on stage. I hope that's been helpful. If you wouldn't mind subscribing and liking this video, it really helps with that algorithm for this video to be spread to as many people as possible. I'd be very grateful. Thank you for doing that. Also, I will leave a few links in the description below. One of them is for a free webinar containing 10 of my favorite tips to help take your playing to a higher level. I will be replacing that webinar here fairly shortly. So if you haven't already seen that, go ahead and watch that. I'll also leave 2 links for my paid courses, the VIP Masterclass series that I mentioned where I answer students' questions. 1 video for each week of the month. That's a subscription service that I offer. And then I offer a lifetime access option to Pro Practice, my other series. That's the one where I've covered the Gurlitt piece in its entirety or the Mendelssohn variations, and we have over 500 tutorials in that library if you'd like to check those out. So if any of you have any questions, my email's josh@joshwrightpiano.com. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great week. Good luck in your practice sessions.